Hi everyone, it's Jackie from Rose Gold Library, and it's super nice to see everyone. This is kind of like my reading journal spread regarding Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. I don't know how to exactly pronounce the last name, but regardless, it was a really good read. All of my professors in university always recommend reading this book. I've had to read a couple of passages from this book in classes before, but I never actually had a time to read the full thing. And also just ignore the fact that the fan is going on in the background. It is extremely hot where I am right now, and yeah, I love YouTube, but like I'm not making money off of it, so sorry about the fan in the background. But Braiding Sweetgrass, well, this is kind of like a series of essays, which is also, I believe, braided essays before, because I remember I had to read this to understand what a braided essay was, which is a mix between personal, other source, and then you mix it all together. And it was kind of like interesting just to read all of these essays and realizing that these are essays, and I never realized how essays could also be very entertaining at the same time, also very straight to the heart. So Braiding Sweetgrass, I had to take a couple of moments to give a review. When I first started finishing the book, when I realized, I'm getting close to finishing, there are two modes of thoughts that came through my head. One was, oh yeah, I understand the book, but in a funny haha, I have brain rot. My entire For You page is One Piece and memes. Which I got out of this was, I need to touch grass. I need to get out and touch grass. That's the funny haha review that I got of it. But in actuality, but if you're asking for like a real review on how I felt after reading this book, I realized that I need to get out of nature more and say thank you to like my food, saying thank you to see a new day, but also realizing that I can help out wherever I can when it comes to nature, and just realizing that my relationship with nature is complex, considering I live in a city and I don't have much access to like wildlife, unless you count coyotes. When I was on campus, coyotes all over the place, but just seeing like there is wildlife and how my relationship with it's slightly strange. And just going to say like, hey, seeing the sun in the morning, just being like, thankfully I get to see the sun in the morning. Thank you for the little plant that I have that is giving me oxygen, even though I have not watered it. I see it in the corner of my eye, probably looking at me for water, because I forget to water my plants. But because of reading Sweetgrass, I have been slightly more consistent. So with this book, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, mainly because even though it was changing my perspective, it wasn't exactly life-changing, life-altering, like, wow, I need to change everything about my life. But also just the fact that I now go on walks now. I go on walks around my neighborhood, which for some people it's like, yeah, that's a little bit of nature, but for me it's just like, I don't regularly go out on walks and see the trees and actually hear the crunches of the very dried leaves. And also the fact that this library book, yes, this book is from the library, mainly, this is kind of like my little plug-in to go support your local library, because I wanted to annotate and give my thoughts, opinions, but then I realized this is someone's also going to read this. And also just the fact that I kind of want to keep my little journal of just, here's what I kind of thought, or here's a cool quote. And also I need to, write more. I've been typing a lot. And just the fact that I came to love this book towards the end and see how like the title says, indigenous wisdom meets science, and then meets like with the author's perspective of seeing how everything plays into life, into like the words, and just how it's all interwoven and all interconnected, all braided in together. Haha, I see that. But I also recommend this to anyone. I know there's some versions, like their PDF versions online, but I highly recommend reading a couple of these essays. One, these are really good essays regardless, to just review and see how you can write better essays. But also just see how, if you live in a city or you live in a rural area, how these two perspectives can really be influences by your environment and also how you grew up in, and also just getting closer to your culture. At least for me, I'm not indigenous, but there are some practices when looking in, coming from like a religious standpoint, and just seeing like, oh, I kind of do this, and also seeing how certain religious standpoints go into the cultural, and just see how like, oh, this is the reason why I do this, or see how, for example, like, oh yeah, my connection with food is slightly different from other people, because for me, I don't like to waste food. I use everything that I can. But seeing how, for example, some of my friends or some other family members use food in a different way, or use food within a different meeting. So that's one thing. But also just how, I will admit, certain things when reading Braiding Sweetgrass, I kind of did not get, or at least I did not understand too much about it. But regardless, as long as for me, reading everything, I did get the gist of it. I will be touching grass now. And and just how this kind of like influenced my life, to see what resources are available for me to go out into nature more and give back. You know how everyone says, I want to give back to the community. I'm also going to be trying to see if I can grow my own food now, and so I can be closer. Probably tomatoes, since I love tomatoes, and hopefully I get some good tomatoes. But also kind of started thinking about like how one of my neighbors has an orange tree, and just the other day I realized, oh, we gave them sugar as like good neighbors do, like in cartoons, but then the other day they gifted us tomatoes and oranges, and from their own garden. And it was just one of those things where I stopped and thought about how from Braiding Sweetgrass we gifted food just for the sake of like kindness, and also like not a sense of currency, but like a sense of like being close together in a community. But anyways, thank you everyone, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye bye.